Project Zomboid, a challenging game of survival that until now I've never attempted. With 0 hours played, I want to see if I can survive a week in apocalypse mode. With the additional challenge of not watching any tutorials or guides, I'm going to be jumping in blind into what I expect to be an extremely challenging playthrough. Meet Stan, the handy and practical repairman. I gave him a literate and slow learner, as I figured in the apocalypse, a hands-on approach would be better than a bookish one. And for positive traits, I went for those that I thought would help us maintain our cool in stressful situations. I decided to spawn him in at Muldraugh because it said here it was an army town, so I figured there would be a copious amount of firearms. Attempting to put our DIY skills to the test, it turned out that I was lacking all the required tools, so I decided it would be prudent to venture out in search of some. Heading upstairs to scout out the local area, it turned out we were heavily surrounded. So I did what any good citizen would do. Closed the curtains and started to watch TV, unable to figure out how to actually sit on the chairs. After mustering up enough courage, I rummaged through the house for any weapons we could find, and then I decided to settle on this, the rolling pin and plunger dual wield combo. Heading back downstairs, we realised our fortress was under assault, so we unsheathed our weapons and readied ourselves to fight off the horde. Like a Viking berserker, we crushed the skull of the first zombie. But this tussle attracted even more. In our panic, we mashed the left mouse button, crushing the zombie, but taking a little scratch in the melee. We started to feel a little bit uneasy and queasy, and then we died. We're gonna have to be a lot more careful. We spawned back in, this time to a house a little bit further south in the neighbourhood. The game's told us that at some point the power is going to run out, so I decided it's a wise decision to cook up all our fresh produce. Who thought that cooking pasta was going to be this difficult? As we finally managed to get it onto the stove, a few guests began to arrive at the property. Totally unprepared and with no weapon at hand, I decided to make a break for it. Making my way out the front door and then sprinting to try and find shelter. It seemed like there were zombies at every turn, so I started running, and like Forrest Gump just continued on running. Out of the town and onto the highway, where there were still a crap ton of zombies. So we headed into the forest to try and lose them, cutting ourselves badly in the process. But then it looked like there was hope. I stumbled across an abandoned radio tower with no zombies in sight. Surely there would be a first aid kit in the building. Unfortunately, I was sadly mistaken. We walked away in desperation, and only a short time later, we succumbed to our wounds. Third time lucky, we spawned back in the original house. We quickly go grab one of the other rolling pins and make our way out. We have a little look next door, and soil our underwear as we get ripped to shreds, Shaun of the Dead style. Alright, I'm feeling good about this one. We spawn into a very well-equipped house surrounded by 4 large fences, as well as a garden shed that gives us access to a few additional tools. With a trusty screwdriver, we're able to dismantle the TV, stashing all manner of electricals for our future projects. In order to dismantle the furniture, it turns out we need a hammer, so I get out the map, look for those lucrative garden sheds, and go on a looting spree. Arriving at the first one, I figured I could smash down the door with my metal bar. All it did was attract a zombie, but I was getting a bit better at eliminating them. Not knowing exactly which items were any good, I decided to just loot absolutely everything from the nearby property, storing it back at the safe house. In one of the houses, I managed to defeat another zombie and realised that looting and equipping thicker clothing would give us greater protection in combat. I also found another rather useful item, a simple digital watch. It was time to get our sleep schedule back on track. Heading upstairs with trepidation, we took out another zombie, and then we were able to find a machete in one of the cupboards, as you do, although no guns, strangely enough. And with some duct tape we'd found earlier, we were finally able to put our repairman skills to the test, crafting an effing naginata. With our newfound weapon and confidence, we take the fight to the zombies, house by house, clearing out the neighbourhood, laying us sleep slightly more soundly. Totally sweaty and over-encumbered, we stash all our loot in our safe house. And with our newfound tools, we go around dismantling every piece of furniture. We definitely got wood. To try and cure my character's depression, I go and wash all of their clothes. It has minimal effect, as does listening to the radio and watching TV. Our illiteracy preventing us from getting lost in a good book. I decided a good long-term strategy is to stock up on food of the canned variety, so I returned to one of the houses where I spotted a can opener, as well as a lot of tinned food, and I threw it all in a garbage bag in order to reduce encumbrance. Not sure it's helping though. After depositing our haul, we head back out again to clear out the neighbourhood, each time pushing further and further north into what looks like the centre of town, and at night returning home to the safety of our base, which we've now begun to barricade using the copious amount of planks that we've managed to procure. I believe that it's now day 3 or 4, but in this game it can be very hard to keep track. Our Naginata a little bit worse for wear, we opt to switch weapon to the spiked bat, which also proves very effective at killing zombies. I found a car in one of the driveways, which I feel like would be really useful as a getaway vehicle, and also to let us get further around the map. Despite being a repairman, it seems we lack the skills to start this car. I try looking for the keys. I expect them to be in the nearby house, but there is nothing to be found, nor is there anything on the corpses of any nearby zombies. Reaching the perimeter of the town's centre, I encounter a very strange noise. The faint sound of a helicopter's rotor blades. Could help finally be on the way? I was going to be disappointed. All this helicopter did seemed to attract zombies. A great big troll from the helicopter driver. So our foray into town would have to wait till the next day. I headed home and barricaded myself inside. By day 5, I had the confidence to venture out a little further. Was it not better to just sit still and hunker down? With the water supply down and electricity soon to follow, we'd soon be running low on supplies. And although the challenge was to survive 7 days, which we most definitely could, I'd grown rather attached to this character, so I wanted to make sure he could endure it for the long haul. So sneaking past hordes of zombies to what I thought would be a gold mine of resources, I ran into quite a few zombies in the local park, one jumping out from the bush and startling me. In the chaos, I took a bit of a flesh wound, not a lethal bite, but still not something to be ignored. And the building that I was going for turned out just to be a laundrette. Disappointment was overwhelming, so I thought I'd try and run to the nearby doctor's surgery further back south. By this point, all bets were off. I had no idea if we would be able to make it in time, and the fact that we had to prioritise speed meant that we were attracting more and more zombies, where the lacerations were making us slower and slower. The more that we fought off, the more appeared. Time was of the essence. But we were almost there. We just had to scale the fence at the back of the doctor's surgery. But with our weapon breaking at the last moment, there was nothing we could do, and we were swiftly devoured. Days of effort, all for naught. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more Project Zomboid stories and challenges, then like the video, subscribe to the channel, and you can also join my Discord, which is linked below, where we can chat about the game. Thanks very much guys, and see you in the next one.